fuck you.
Okay, thank you. Members, we're now going to...
Sorry, Chair, whoever swore just then, it's just not appropriate, thanks.
I did not hear that. I think I was speaking at the same time, but if there was any expletive, please, members, not the place. Thank you. I'll now go to item 20, and we need to move the motion to exclude the public to go to C1 for the reasons outlined, the 3 reasons outlined. I'll move that. Do I have a second, please, Deputy Chair?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll put the motion.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I wish to contest that.
You have a speaking turn.
Can I speak now?
Yes, I was just about to go to the vote, but you're just in time, Councillor Walker.
So I'd like to contest going into confidential, Mr. Chair. I have the reasons in front of me. One reason is that the withholding of the information is necessary to maintain legal professional privilege. As far as I know, there is no legal opinion attached or part of the agenda item. The second interest is that the withholding of the information is necessary to prevent the disclosure or use of official information for improper gain or improper advantage. I would suggest that the information in the report around the consideration of 75% and the 5 and 6 rating is already known, that the special character areas that are identified in the unity plan are already known, that any member of the public can walk down any of these streets and make their own assessment. So frankly, I would suggest that those interests do not apply. On the contrary, I would suggest, and I would invite any officer to comment, though I understand that this particular withholding is not based on any legal opinion, it came from the officers, but I would suggest that the principle of availability, that tests under public interest far outweigh the consideration for confidentiality, and I refer in that respect to the high level of interest, to the extent of the public concern, to the need to provide a full picture, to the importance of timing for the release of information as soon as possible, to the number of people affected, and all of these aspects have been covered off in commentaries by the Ombudsman, who has considered issues such as this in previous rulings. So unless there is a legal opinion bolstering this, and there is some commentary on the balance of identifying the public interest considerations, which are not presently in this motion, there is no mention of them, I would suggest that there is an imperative to have this matter in public, and if there happens to be a part of the item that could be identified that might necessitate confidentiality, then if that part of the item can be pointed to, and we could go into confidential at that point. For example, if we did need to consider some form of legal opinion, if that were the case. So that is my contention, Mr. Chair, and I'd invite a comment and support on the part of other councillors. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Look, I'm going to take that as comment, and then there's a question. Okay, so you've spoken to the motion, and now I will ask John Dogood. It's not usual that we have a legal opinion at this point in our meeting proceedings, but we usually have legal advice, and there is a distinct difference, of course. So I will now pass to John Dogood and our legal advisors at this point, please.
Kia ora, Mr. Chair. I'll just take this one really briefly. Look, we thank you, Councillor Walker, for your questions and comments. We have discussed this with our legal colleagues. Karina is online if you require any specific confirmation of the advice. The purpose that we are proposing that this is in confidence is for you to have a free and frank conversation. But clearly the idea is that this would go out to the public in a matter of a few weeks. And so we're not keeping this confidential entirely, but it allows you to have the appropriate conversation, and all of the information will be released in the next couple of weeks. I just will pass to Karina in case she has any particular comments she wants to make.
Through
Thanks,
you, Mr.
Karina.
Chair. Through you, Mr. Chair.
No, not at this time.
It is pertinent to the
Councillor
comment that has
Walker.
just been made.
I'm bringing you to order, Councillor Walker.
Okay.
You've raised
Point of order, Mr. Chair.
what number point of order is it?
I can't refer to it precisely, but it goes to, there
sorry,
is a point of order that goes to advice.
Calling you to order, Councillor Walker.
Okay.
You've asked a question and the question has been answered in part, and now we will go to the legal advice, the legal advisor that's available to us, and I believe that's Karina. Karina Fassenkloot, your call.
Through the chair, the public law team has reviewed the grounds that have been relied on, and they've actually identified a third ground under Lagoima being section 72C, Roman numeral 2. Their view is that it's legally open to the committee to hear this matter in confidential based on those grounds. So it is open to you to move into confidential.
Thank you. Now I've got a comment from Councillor John Watson on the motion before us, please.
Yes, yeah, thank you. It'll be a brief comment, and I just simply make the observation that at Christchurch City Council and Wellington City Council, who are both hearing this matter in their committees. In fact, the Christchurch City Council discussing their heritage areas today, and they are an open meeting. And I take it from the comment that was, so they're holding it an open, dealing with the same national policy provisions and heritage protection. I take it from the comment that was made at the end there that it is open to us to have it in confidential. I would suggest it is open to us to have it in public as well. I mean, the question was asked as to what the exact legal professional privilege that is being protected here. We haven't had an answer to that. And I would suggest that the public interest here, given the conversation earlier today, you know, where for much of the time this special character zone has predominated, where there's very little public information out there that's been put out by council, that it being in the public interest to actually hear this in open. I don't see any of the particular interests that have been put up are just the generic ones, that there's no tying it to specific information with respect to this item. So I would agree with Councillor Walker that the public interest is best served here, as we are able to do through this vote, to have it an open. What's there to hide?
Thank you, Councillor Watson. I'll now take the call of Councillor Newman, please.
Oh, look, thanks, Chair. And I actually have to go very shortly, and you know, I normally try and show deference to Councillor Walker and Councillor Watson, who've been around here longer than me, and so they're my senior colleagues. But in this particular case, you know, and the section 7 of the Lagoima is quite narrow, and 7.2G. I think that's really important actually, because ultimately, I want to preserve the council's position in relation to matters which will be subject to which will almost certainly be subject to council's legal arguments pertaining to the defensibility around areas that it would qualify, you know, it would consider to be a qualifying matter, and that's really important because actually I'd imagine that there are properties that people want to preserve the heritage status. So I do uphold the particular interests, the grounds here for this information not being considered in the public agenda. What I would ask is that all of the information that the officers hold all of it become disclosable as soon as the information is released to the public as part of its communications. And I'd hope that we can set a date for that, being no more than a month from today, or 6 weeks from today, or whatever the date will be. We should state that when that information will be released. But the information needs to be withheld at this point because the information is useful to defend the council's legal argument, and I wouldn't want to have that because that argument will be contested, and it won't just be contested by those people who want the highest possible threshold. It will be contested, I suspect, by those people who want no threshold, and so we need to ensure that the council's position is able to be defended. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. And the information will be released to the open record much earlier than what you outline. Actually, it'll be subject to some decisions that we'll be making. It'll be mid-April. But thank you very much. And I will now go to the vote on this motion before us.
Through you, Mr. Chair.
I
did indicate that I wanted to put a comment.
You have actually commented, and I've got a confirmation from our governance advisor that you have commented. So I can't take a further comment.
Can I just put the record straight on some misinformation?
No, sorry, you can't. I'm sorry, you can't, because that's commenting again, and that's in breach of the standing orders. So we'll now go to the vote. It is moved and seconded, and this is the motion to exclude the public. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
And to the contrary say no.
No.
Against.
And declare that carried.
And may I have a reason recorded, Mr. Chair?
And
And that
yes,
is part of my reason is
no, that's
no
a
mention.
speaking turn, Councillor. It's a speaking turn. So you're recorded against. Thank you very much. Members, we will drop off this particular meeting invitation, and we will go to our calendars and open the confidential meeting invitation and come on the call there. Can we just take a very short break at the same time? And you might like to make yourself a quick cup of tea or whatever.